Welcome back to OldCoin Secrets, where every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a fortune. Imagine holding a small silver quarter in your hand, minted at the dawn of America's most beloved coin design, a coin so special that it marked both a beginning and a legend. This isn't just any quarter. It's the 1932 D Washington quarter, the very first year of issue, struck in limited numbers, and one of the most sought-after silver quarters in U.S. history. Collectors call it the crown jewel of the Washington Quarter Series, a piece of numismatic history that bridges patriotism, artistry, and pure rarity. So let's uncover the story behind this legendary coin, its creation, mystery, survival, and the value it holds today, the birth of a new American icon. The year was 1932. America was in the depths of the Great Depression. Jobs were scarce, banks were failing, and morale was low. But 1932 also marked the 200th birthday of George Washington, the nation's founding father and first president. To honor this moment, Congress decided to issue a commemorative $quarter featuring Washington's portrait for the very first time. At first, it was meant to be a one-year-only coin, replacing the standing Liberty quarter temporarily. However, public response was overwhelming. Americans loved the new design, and it soon became the permanent face of the U.S. quarter, a legacy that continues to this very day, the design and its creator. The Washington quarter's design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, whose portrait of Washington was based on the 1786 bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon, obverse de front, a powerful yet calm profile of George Washington facing left, with the words "Liberty" above and "In God We Trust" to the side. Reverse, back, a majestic American eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbols of strength and peace. The coin was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 6.25 grams with a 24.3 mm diameter. But here's where it gets interesting. Only two mints produced the 1932 quarter: Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver D, and the Denver issue became one of the most famous key dates in U.S. coin collecting. The 1932 D, why it's so rare. The 1932 D Washington quarter had an incredibly low mintage, just 4,6,800 coins. To put that in perspective, later years saw mintages in the tens of millions. Because of the Depression, there was little need for new coinage. The mint only produced what the economy required, and demand for quarters was very low, so the Denver mint struck fewer than 500,000, and many of those coins were quickly worn down in circulation. That's why finding a 1932 D in high grade is like finding buried treasure. Collectors often call it the king of Washington quarters. Even after 90 years, its scarcity hasn't faded, it's grown. How to identify a real 1932 D? The mint mark D appears on the reverse just below the eagle's tail feathers. But beware, because of the coin's fame, counterfeits are common. Some 1932 Philadelphia coins have been altered to appear like D mint coins by adding a fake mint mark. Here's how experts authenticate it. Mint mark shape. The genuine D is small, sharply struck and perfectly aligned. Die characteristics. Original dies show specific marks and micro scratches known to experts. Edge reading. Counterfeit coins often have remachined or uneven edges. When in doubt, professional grading by PCGS or NGC is essential. Only certified examples guarantee authenticity and value. Market value and auction records. Because of its rarity and historical importance, the 1932 D commands impressive prices across all grades. Approximate values as of today: good, G4, $100, $150, fine, F12, $250, $400, extremely fine, XF40, $500, $900, about uncirculated, AU50, $1,000, $2,500, uncirculated, MS60, $2,000, $3,000, GemBU, MS65 plus, $10,000, $15,000 plus. Record auction, over $89,000 for an MS66 graded specimen by PCGS. Even slightly worn examples hold tremendous value due to the low mintage and historic significance. And because many people unknowingly spent these coins in the 1930s and 40s, surviving high-grade examples are extraordinarily scarce. Collector's perspective. For coin collectors, owning a 1932 D Washington Quarter is more than an achievement. It's a rite of passage. It's part of every serious Washington quarter set, and often the last piece collectors need to complete it. Numismatists admire it for three key reasons. It's the first year of the series. Historically significant. It's a Denver mint rarity, with the lowest mintage in the entire set. It's silver, giving it intrinsic as well as collectible value. Even after the switch to clad coinage in 1965, silver Washington quarters like the 1932D remain icons of a golden age of minting. Tips for collectors and investors. If you're hunting for a 1932D, here's what to keep in mind. Always buy from reputable dealers or graded sources. Avoid cleaned coins. They lose value significantly. Look for coins with original luster and sharp details, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Coins graded MS63 and above show consistent long-term appreciation. This coin has proven to be one of the most stable and desirable investments in U.S. silver coinage, a cornerstone for any serious collection. And that wraps up the story of the 1932D Washington Quarter. The coin that began an American legend and still shines nearly a century later. From the hardships of the Great Depression to the hands of collectors today, this coin carries the spirit of endurance and pride. Coin number 2, 1932S Washington Quarter, the forgotten twin of a legend. Last time we uncovered the rare 1932D Washington Quarter, the coin that started it all. But what if I told you there's another coin, minted the very same year, that shares its fame, rarity, and mystery, yet often lives in the shadow of its Denver twin? This is the story of the 1932S Washington Quarter, a coin born during the same crisis, struck in even smaller numbers, and treasured by collectors around the world. So let's journey back to 1932, to the year when silver met history, and two small mint marks created legends, a coin born in hard times. In 1932, America was a nation struggling to breathe. The Great Depression had tightened its grip, factories silent, wallets empty, and millions searching for hope. Yet amidst the despair, the U.S. Mint prepared something special, a silver tribute to George Washington's 200th birthday. Congress approved the design, never realizing that this commemorative quarter would become the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. But that year, only 3 mints participated. Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, the one we're focusing on today. The San Francisco issue would soon become one of the rarest coins of the entire series. The design, the symbol of strength. The 1932S carries the same beautiful design by John Flanagan, a portrait of Washington inspired by Houdin's 18th century sculpture. Obverse front. Washington's profile facing left, calm yet strong with liberty above and in God we trust beside him. Reverse, back. The American eagle perched proudly, wings spread, holding arrows and an olive branch on a perfect balance between power and peace. Each coin was made from 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 6.25 grams and measuring 24.3 meter in diameter. But unlike the common later quarters, this one was hand-struck in smaller batches, making every example a true survivor from a different time. The mintage mystery. Here's what makes the 1932S extraordinary. The total mintage was only 48,000 coins. That's even less than the 1932D. To compare, later quarters were minted in the tens or even hundreds of millions. Because of the economic collapse, there simply wasn't much need for new coins in circulation. The few that were made mostly went straight into daily transactions, meaning they were worn down fast. This combination, low mintage and heavy circulation, made high-grade 1932S quarters nearly vanish. Today, finding one in mint-state condition is a serious numismatic challenge, spotting the real 1932S. Collectors know that such rarity invites imitation, and the 1932S is one of the most counterfeited quarters ever made. The mint mark S appears on the reverse just below the eagle's tail feathers. On genuine examples, it's small, well-formed, and neatly aligned and not too thick or uneven. But fakes often show a larger distorted S added later, marks from tooling or engraving, different surface texture around the mint mark. Experts rely on die markers, tiny, unique scratches from the minting process, to confirm authenticity. So if you think you found a 1932S, always get it graded by PCGS or NGC. Only certified coins guarantee both authenticity and collector value. Market value and auction highlights. The 1932 Washington quarter is one of those coins whose price instantly jumps once condition improves. Here's the approximate value range as of today. Good, G4, $100, $150. Fine, F12, $200, $300. Extremely fine, XF40, $500, $700. About uncirculated AU50, $1,000, $1,400. Uncirculated, MS60, $2,000, $3,500. Gem Mint State MS65 Plus, $7,000, $10,000. Record auction over $35,000 for a stunning MS67 example graded by PCGS. Collectors treasure it not only for its silver content but because it represents one of the two key dates of the entire Washington Quarter series, 1932D and 1932S. Many sets are considered incomplete without both. 1932S versus 1932D, the legendary twins. It's fascinating how these two coins, the 1932D and 1932S, and share such a bond. Both were minted in low numbers. Both marked the first year of issue, and both became must-have keys for every serious collector. But here's where they differ. The 1932D is slightly more famous because Denver coins tend to be scarcer in mint condition. The 1932S, however, is just as rare in circulation and sometimes even more beautifully struck. So while the D mint gets most of the spotlight, the S mint quietly commands equal respect, a silent twin that completes the story of the first Washington quarters. Collector tips and hidden gems. If you're hunting a 1932S Washington quarter, here's what experts recommend. Stick to certified coins. This coin is too valuable to risk buying raw. Avoid cleaned coins. Polished surfaces destroy collector value and original toning. Check the details. Washington's hair above the ear and the eagle's feathers should be sharp. That's where wear shows first. Beware of too perfect coins. Counterfeits often look artificially bright or have machine-added mint marks. Long-term value. Mint state coins from 1932S have shown steady price growth for decades. They're not just collectibles, but true investments. Even circulated coins continue to rise in value because collectors constantly chase complete 1932 sets. The legacy of the 1932S. The 1932S represents more than silver and rarity. It's a symbol of resilience, a coin that entered circulation when America was at its weakest, yet survived to become a national treasure. Every scratch on its surface tells a story of hands that passed it through, grocery lines, bus fares, and hard times. And yet those few that escaped into collectors' hands now shine as historical relics of America's faith in its founding ideals. And that was the story of the 1932S Washington quarter, the forgotten twin of a legend, and one of the rarest silver quarters ever struck. It may have been minted in silence, but today its value speaks louder than ever. Coin number 3, 1934 Doubled Die Obverse quarter, Philadelphia Mint. Imagine holding a coin that looks normal to the naked eye, but under a magnifying glass its secret is revealed. A shadowed echo of its own letters and date doubled perfectly by accident. That's not a mistake you see every day. It's a numismatic masterpiece born from imperfection. This is the story of the 1934 Doubled Die Obverse Washington quarter, one of the most fascinating early eras in American coinage. A new beginning for the Washington quarter. 2 years had passed since the debut of the Washington quarter in 1932. After skipping production in 1933, the quarter returned in 1934, and with it came a fresh start for the U.S. Mint. The nation was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. Factories were reopening, confidence was returning, and silver coins were back in demand. The Philadelphia Mint, the oldest and largest mint in the country, resumed quarter production with tens of millions of new coins. But among those millions, a handful were born with a remarkable flaw that would make them priceless. Decades later, the mysterious doubling. Somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint in early 1934, a die was accidentally engraved twice, slightly misaligned during the hubbing process. That's how the Doubled Die Obverse was created. Every coin struck from that die carried 2 sets of images, a ghostly doubling of details that collectors would one day treasure. If you look closely, you'll see it most clearly in the word "In God We Trust," where the letters appear thick and shadowed. the motto Liberty, showing a split or doubling on several letters, and even the date 1934 slightly doubled on strong examples. These subtle imperfections, invisible to most, turned an ordinary coin into a numismatic legend. What exactly is a doubled die? A doubled die is not just a strike error. It's a die creation error. Before coins are struck, the mint creates a steel die engraved with the design using a master hub. In 1934, this process was done by hand and pressure, not computers. If the hub impressed the die twice but wasn't perfectly aligned, both images remained on the die. Then every coin made from that die would show the same doubling. That's what happened in 1934. And the mint had no idea until years later. Only a small number of doubled dies were made before the problem was corrected, which makes surviving examples extremely rare today. Philadelphia Mint, the birthplace. Unlike the 1932D or 1932S quarters, the 1934 doubled die was produced only at the Philadelphia Mint, which used no mint mark. Philadelphia struck over 31 million quarters that year, but experts estimate that only a few thousand had the doubling error. Most were circulated, spent in everyday commerce, and worn down before collectors even noticed. That's why finding one in high grade is so difficult. It's a survivor from a time when people saw coins as money, not as history. Identifying the 1934 doubled die quarter. If you think you've found one, here's how to tell. Check "In God We Trust." The doubling here is strong and crisp, especially on "in" and "trust." Look at "Liberty." On genuine coins, the letters have a split appearance. Examine the date, 1934. The top of the 3 and 4 may show slight doubling. Use magnification. A 10x jeweler's loupe or digital zoom helps reveal the doubled edges. Be careful, though. Worn or polished coins can show machine doubling, which looks flat and is not valuable. True doubled dies have raised, well-defined extra impression, like a shadow that was engraved twice. Value and auction highlights. The 1934 doubled Die Obverse quarter has exploded in collector demand over the last 2 decades. Here's the approximate value range as of now. Fine, F12, 100, 150. Very fine, VF20, $200, $300. Extremely fine, XF40, $400, $600. About uncirculated, AU50, $700, $1,000. Mint state, MS60 plus, $1,500, $2,500. Gem mint, MS65 plus, over $5,000, $8,000 depending on eye appeal. And the record? A PCGS MS66 example sold at auction for over $13,000. An incredible price for a coin once worth just 25 cents. Collectors value it not only for the rarity of the error, but also for the historical charm. It's one of the earliest doubled dies of the Washington series. Why it matters. The 1934 doubled die quarter represents a bridge between the old and new eras of minting. Back then, coins were handcrafted. Dies were prepared with human precision and human error. Today's automated process has eliminated most of that, meaning we'll probably never see another classic doubled die like this again. This makes the 1934 doubled die a snapshot of early 20th century minting, when even a tiny mistake could create an immortal rarity. It also marks the first major variety in the Washington quarter series, a key for anyone assembling a complete collection. Tips for collectors. If you're lucky enough to own one, here's how to protect it. Get it graded by PCGS or NGC. Certification authenticates the doubling and protects its market value. Avoid cleaning or polishing. Even minor cleaning destroys original luster and reduces worth. Store properly in an airtight, acid-free holder to prevent tarnish. Buy from reputable dealers. Many counterfeit doubled dies are simply machine doubling or altered dates. Keep an eye on prices. As interest in early Washington quarters grows, the 1934 doubled die's value is likely to climb even higher. The legacy. Each 1934 doubled die quarter tells a story of craftsmanship, imperfection, and survival. It began as an unnoticed mistake, but ended up as one of the most hunted early Washington varieties ever struck. It reminds collectors that beauty sometimes lies in flaws, and that one small misalignment in 1934 became a permanent mark in coin history. So next time you see a simple silver quarter, remember, somewhere hidden in the details could be a small doubling worth thousands of dollars. And that wraps up the story of the 1934 Doubled Die Obverse Washington Quarter, a humble error that became an icon of American numismatics. From its silver shine to its shadowed letters, it's proof that even the smallest imperfections can create something truly extraordinary. Coin number 4, 1942 D Double Die Washington Quarter, Denver Mint. Every coin has a story, but some have two, one visible to the naked eye, and another hidden deep within its metal, waiting to be discovered under magnification. That's exactly what makes the 1942 D Double Die Washington Quarter so fascinating. Born in the chaos of World War II, it carries a tiny minting mistake that turned an ordinary silver coin into a collector's dream, and one of the most desirable errors of the Washington Quarter series. America in 1942, a nation at war. The year was 1942. The United States had just entered World War II. Factories that once made cars were producing tanks and planes. Silver, copper, and nickel were precious wartime materials. Yet coin production had to continue. Amid all this, the Denver Mint was striking millions of Washington quarters, practical coins for a nation at war. But hidden among those millions, a small batch carried something unusual. A double image that would not be noticed until decades later. That rare die error would go on to make the 1942 D Double Die Quarter a historic collectible, a silent survivor from one of America's most turbulent years, the birth of the error. So what exactly happened at the Mint? During the early 1940s, coin dies were still created by pressing a master hub into a blank steel die multiple times. If those impressions were even slightly misaligned, by a fraction of a millimeter, the design would be doubled. In 1942, one such die at the Denver Mint was accidentally hubbed twice at a different angle. The result? A clear doubled image on the obverse front of the coin, especially visible on the motto, "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and parts of George Washington's profile. This wasn't just minor mechanical doubling. It was a true doubled die obverse, caused during the die creation process, meaning every coin struck by that faulty die carried the same doubling. The 1942 D Mint, production and context. The Denver Mint was a busy place in 1942. With the war effort demanding precision and speed, mint workers were under immense pressure to meet production quotas. Over 17 million quarters were struck that year in Denver, and for most, perfection was achieved. But somewhere within those millions, that single doubled die slipped through quality control. Because coins were needed immediately for circulation, no one took the time to inspect every die carefully, and so one flawed die quietly went to work in stamping a small batch of quarters that would later become worth thousands of dollars. How to identify the 1942 D Doubled Die Quarter? To this day, collectors are fascinated by how subtle yet distinctive this doubling is. If you're lucky enough to have a 1942 D quarter, here's what to look for. In God We Trust, strong doubling on in and we. Liberty, some letters appear shadowed or thickened. George Washington's eye and hairline, slight doubling can sometimes be seen under magnification. Mint mark D, note that the doubling is on the design, not the mint mark itself. Always use a 10x jeweler's loupe or digital zoom to confirm. True doubled dies show raised, rounded doubling, unlike machine doubling, which looks flat or shelf-like. Why it's so rare? Out of the millions of 1942 D quarters produced, experts estimate that fewer than a few thousand were struck from the doubled die. Most went into circulation immediately, spent on war stamps, ration coupons, or victory bonds. By the time collectors began looking for error varieties decades later, many had been worn beyond recognition or lost entirely. Finding a well-preserved example today, especially in uncirculated condition dies, is incredibly rare. That rarity, combined with the coin's age and wartime background, makes it a true treasure in American numismatics, value and auction records. So how much is the 1942 D Doubled Die Quarter worth today? Here's the estimated market value, 2025. Fine, F12, $100, $200, very fine, VF20, $250, $400, extremely fine, XF40, $600, $900, about uncirculated, AU50, $1,000, $1,800. Mint State MS60 Plus, $2,000, $3,500. Gem Mint MS65 Plus, $6,000, $10,000 plus. And at auction, a PCGS MS66 example sold for over $2,500, while one with exceptionally sharp doubling fetched nearly $15,000. Collectors value this coin for two main reasons: its connection to the wartime era, and its bold Doubled Die Obverse that stands out beautifully under magnification. Why collectors love this coin? The 1942D Doubled Die Quarter isn't just a minting error, so it's a symbol of the time. It reminds collectors of an era when human craftsmanship, pressure, and imperfection all shaped the coins we use. There were no digital engravers, no laser-aligned dies, just skilled hands and machines running day and night to fuel a nation at war. This coin represents that human touch, a single moment of imperfection captured forever in silver. It's this combination of beauty, history, and rarity that makes the 1942D Doubled Die Quarter one of the most sought-after wartime quarters ever made. How to protect and verify your coin. If you ever find a 1942D quarter and suspect it's the rare doubled die, here's what you should do. Don't clean it. Cleaning can destroy the original luster and drop the value by 50% or more. Get it authenticated. Send it to PCGS, NGC, or ANAX for grading and verification. Store safely in an airtight holder or slab to prevent tarnish. Document your find. Keep records of grading results and auction history for future resale. Follow market trends. Error coins are on the rise in 2025. Prices have doubled in the last decade for high-grade examples. Historical reflection. Think about it. A coin minted in wartime America, carrying an error unnoticed for years. Each 1942D Doubled Die Quarter is a time capsule, a small piece of metal that outlived an era of global conflict and industrial change. What was once just a 25-cent coin now stands as a priceless reminder of American craftsmanship and the unexpected beauty of mistakes. And that's the story of the 1942D Doubled Die Washington Quarter, a silver relic from the war years that proves perfection isn't always valuable. Sometimes imperfection is. For collectors, it's a reminder that hidden within every ordinary coin could be a treasure waiting to be discovered. You just need to look close enough. And that wraps up today's deep dive into the most valuable and rare Washington quarters ever discovered. From the 1932D and 1932S, key dates that started it all, to the 1934 Doubled Die Obverse and 1942D Doubled Die Quarter, each of these coins holds a piece of American history and a fortune in value for lucky collectors. If you enjoyed exploring these rare treasures, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel OldCoin Secrets, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our next journey into hidden coin treasures. Tell us in the comments, which Washington quarter amazed you the most today? Thanks for watching, and remember, old coins aren't just metal. They're time capsules of history waiting to be rediscovered. See you in the next video, where we uncover more rare coins worth thousands, or even millions.